Welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to talk about something that can change the way you study forever. We are not talking about learning faster. We are not talking about studying harder. We are talking about something even more important than that. How to remember what you study. Because if you study for 6 hours and forget everything during the exam, what's the point? If you spend your nights reading books, but can't recall anything when you need it, what's the use? This is the truth most students never talk about. It's not about how much you study. It's about how much you actually remember. Think about it. How many times have you studied a chapter, felt confident, and then, just 1 week later, forgotten everything? How many times have you revised something again and again, but when someone asks you a question, your mind goes blank? That moment, that silence, that fear, it doesn't happen because you're not smart. It happens because you never trained your memory. And that's why this video exists. Because today, I'm not just going to give you tips. I'm going to teach you how your memory works, how your brain learns, why it forgets, and how you can fix it forever. This is a real-life skill that will help you in every subject, every exam, every job, every goal. Because in the real world, the person who remembers more, the person who learns faster, the person who studies smarter, becomes unstoppable. So, if you're tired of forgetting, if you're tired of wasting time on study methods that don't work, and if you want to become the kind of person who studies once and remembers for life, then stay with me. Because what I'm about to tell you, no teacher ever told you, no school ever explained. But it's the secret that can change your entire learning journey. So, if you want to train your brain, remember faster, and speak better English too, make sure to subscribe now. Let's grow together. How your memory works. Before I give you techniques, before I tell you what to do, let's first understand something very, very important. How your brain actually remembers. Because if you don't know how memory works, you'll keep using the wrong methods. You'll keep blaming yourself for forgetting. And you'll never be able to fix the problem. But once you understand this, everything will change. Sensory memory. The first filter. Let's say you walk into a library. You see hundreds of books. You hear the sound of pages turning. You feel the cold of the AC. You smell the paper. You feel the weight of your bag. All of this enters your brain at the same time. But can you remember all of it? No, because your brain doesn't keep everything. This is where sensory memory comes in. Sensory memory is your brain's first level of memory. It captures what you see, hear, smell, taste, or touch. But here's the key. It only lasts for 1 to 5 seconds. That's it. If you don't pay attention, it disappears. Imagine someone shows you a card for 1 second. It says blue star. Then they hide it. If you were focused, you'll remember it. If you were distracted, it's gone. So what's the lesson? Attention is the first step to memory. If you don't pay attention while studying, if your phone is next to you, if your mind is thinking about something else, then nothing will reach your memory. Your brain will delete it like a useless file. That's why some people read the same page 5 times. They don't remember, not because they're weak, but because their attention was weak. So remember, if you don't give attention, you will forget. No matter how hard you try. Short-term memory. The temporary table. Now let's say you did focus. You gave attention. Your brain catches the information. It now enters the second level, short-term memory. This is like a table in your brain. You can place a few items on it, but not too many. Science says your short-term memory can hold 5 to 9 pieces of information at one time, and it lasts for about 15 to 30 seconds. Think of it like this. If I say apple, chair, lion, doctor, river, you'll remember them for a few seconds, but if I keep adding more, your brain will start dropping some. It's like carrying too many things in your hands. Some will fall. So what does your brain do? If something seems important, if it's repeated, if it's connected to something emotional, then your brain says, okay, let's save this. And it tries to move it to the next level. Long-term memory. But if it's just random information, and you don't repeat it or care about it, your brain throws it away. So again, here's the secret. Short-term memory is temporary. If you want it to become permanent, you have to help it move forward. You have to practice, connect, or feel something about it. Long-term memory. The vault of the brain. Now we come to the most important part. This is where real learning happens. This is where memory becomes strong, deep, and permanent. Long-term memory is your brain's library. Everything you truly know. Your name, your home address, your childhood memories, your mother's voice. All of that lives in your long-term memory. They have to pass through. Attention, from sensory memory. Repetition and focus, in short-term memory. Meaning or emotion. Proper sleep and rest. Imagine two students, both study the same topic. The French Revolution. Student A reads the chapter once, no interest, no notes, no repetition. Student B reads it once, makes a mind map, talks about it with a friend, connects it to a movie scene, and reviews it 2 days later. Who will remember more? Student B, because they used multiple tools to move the information into long-term memory. Long-term memory is not about talent. It's about training. People who remember everything are not gifted. They are trained. They pay attention while learning, use repetition and recall, feel emotional connection to the subject, sleep well and review regularly, organize their notes. That's it. And the best part? You can train your memory too. It doesn't matter how much you've forgotten in the past. It doesn't matter if your memory has been bad till now, because from today, you're going to use new strategies. Strategies that actually match how your brain learns. Not boring tips, but real science, real examples, real success. And when you do, you'll be shocked at how much you can remember, how fast you can learn, how confident you feel during exams, presentations, and even in life. Because the real secret is this: memory is not a gift. It's a method, and anyone can master it, even you. Technique 1. Learn like you'll teach it. The Feynman technique. Let me ask you a simple question. Do you study to understand? Or do you study to pass? Most people study with the wrong mindset. They study because they have to. They memorize to survive the exam. They highlight every line in the book. They reread chapters again and again. But when it's time to explain it to someone, they freeze. Why? Because they never truly understood the topic. They never connected with the knowledge. They never made the knowledge their own. This method is called the Feynman technique, named after one of the greatest scientists of all time. Richard Feynman, a Nobel Prize winner. But here's what made him different. He didn't just study complicated things. He could explain them in very simple language. He used to say, "If you can't explain it to a child, you don't understand it yourself." Here is the step-by-step method that will make your memory 10 times stronger than before. Step 1. Study with the mindset of a teacher. When you read a chapter or learn a concept, don't think, I need to memorize this. Instead, think, tomorrow, I have to teach this to someone who knows nothing about it. When you switch your mindset from memorizing to teaching, everything changes. Your brain becomes sharper. You look for meaning. You ask better questions. You find better answers. Because now, you are not just a student, you are a teacher, and a teacher must understand. Step 2. After learning, close the book and explain it out loud. Yes, out loud. Don't whisper in your mind. Don't just think about it. Speak it, clearly, slowly, confidently. Pretend someone is sitting in front of you. Pretend they are asking you, can you explain this topic to me? And you are responsible for their understanding. Here's what happens when you speak it out loud. You find what you actually know. You discover what you don't understand. You become more confident. Your memory becomes deeper. You reduce fear of exams or interviews. Example: you are studying about the photosynthesis process in biology. After reading it once, close the book and say, photosynthesis is the process by which green plants make their food using sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. The plant takes sunlight through its leaves, absorbs water from the roots, and takes carbon dioxide from the air. All of this happens in the chloroplasts of the cells, and the result is glucose, which is food for the plant. Now imagine saying this clearly, confidently. You didn't memorize. You understood. And because you understood, you will remember it. Step 3. Find gaps and fix them. When you speak, you will forget certain points. You'll realize, wait, what comes after carbon dioxide? Where does glucose go? This is good, because now your brain is showing you the missing pieces. And now you can go back to your book or notes and find that missing part. This find and fix method is the most powerful learning tool in the world. Most people don't do it. They only keep reading. But reading is input. Output is where real memory is created, and speaking out loud is the best form of output. Step 4. Teach someone else, if possible. Find a friend, a family member, or even your younger sibling, and just say, hey, can I explain something to you for 2 minutes? Even if they don't understand the subject. That's okay. The goal is not their understanding. The goal is your learning. The more you explain, the more you remember. Every time you study, ask yourself this question. Could I explain this to a 10-year-old? If the answer is yes, you've truly learned it. If the answer is no, read it again and explain it again. Because teaching is not the last step of learning. Teaching is how real learning begins. If you want to remember anything forever, study like a teacher, explain like a master, and your brain will never forget. Develop passion towards study. The emotion-memory connection. Let's be honest. The real reason you forget what you study is not because the subject is hard. It's because you don't care about it. Think about it. You remember your favorite actor's birthday. You remember the lyrics of a song you heard only twice. You remember what someone said to you 3 years ago. Why? Because there was emotion, there was passion, there was meaning. Now compare that to this. A boring science chapter, a math formula you don't like, a list of historical dates, a definition you've seen 10 times. You forget them again and again because there's no feeling attached. And this leads us to the most powerful truth about memory. The brain remembers what it feels. not what it reads. Your memory is connected to your emotional brain. The more emotion you feel, the stronger the memory becomes. Here's the answer. Step by step. Step 1. Link your study to your dreams. Don't study biology. Study how the human body works, so you can become a doctor. Don't study math. Study problem solving, so you can become a successful business person. Don't study English. Study communication, so you can speak confidently in interviews and the real world. When you connect your subjects to your future goals, your passion increases. Your mind says, this is important, this is useful, I need to remember this. If you want to start a business one day, learning economics or finance becomes exciting because you're not just reading, you're preparing for your dream. Step 2. Use imagination to create emotion. Even the most boring subject can become interesting when you add imagination. Let's say you're studying chemistry. Instead of reading the periodic table like a robot, imagine the elements as characters in a movie. Hydrogen is the youngest, most energetic. Oxygen is the loyal friend. Carbon is the creative artist who connects everyone. This may sound silly, but it works. Because when you imagine, you create a story. And the brain remembers stories better than information. Create stories, create drama, create fun. That's how emotion enters boring topics. And that's how memory becomes stronger. Step 3. Change your environment. Passion is not just mental. It's also physical. If you always study on your bed with noise around you in a dull environment, you will get bored. But if you set up a clean, focused space, use soft music if it helps, keep a vision board or quote in front of you, dress like you're doing something important, then your brain takes your study seriously, and passion builds over time. Step 4. Study in chunks, not in marathons. Don't try to love your studies for 6 hours straight. Start with 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. When your brain feels successful in small pieces, your passion grows naturally. Step 5. Reward yourself. Every time you finish a chapter, give yourself something. A walk outside, your favorite snack, a small break, a few minutes on social media. This positive reinforcement makes your brain link study with joy. And slowly, your brain starts liking the process. You don't need to love every subject, but you must find a reason to care, a reason to connect, a reason to feel something while studying. Because the brain doesn't keep what is dry. The brain keeps what is alive. And passion makes your studies come alive. So from today, don't just study like a robot. Study like a dreamer. Study like a believer. And watch how your memory transforms. Technique 3. Study less, study smart. The 80-20 rule of learning. Most students who study 6 hours a day are wasting more than 4 hours doing the wrong things. They read, reread, highlight, repeat, stress, and still forget. Meanwhile, another student studies for just 1 hour and remembers everything. How is that possible? Because one is studying longer, the other is studying smarter. And this is where the 80-20 rule comes in. One of the most powerful concepts in the world. It's also called the Pareto principle. It says, 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. In simple words, only a small part of what you do creates most of your success. The rest is just noise. Let's apply this to studying. In a 10-page chapter, maybe only 2 pages contain the core concepts. The rest is explanation, repetition, or examples. In 100 multiple-choice questions, Maybe 20 questions cover the most asked topics. In a textbook, maybe only 20% of the content gets tested in exams. So what should you do? Focus on the 20% that gives you 80% of the results. Don't try to study everything. Study what matters. Ask yourself, what are the most important concepts in this topic? What does the teacher always repeat? What did last year's exam focus on? Write down the top 3 takeaways after each class. Highlight only what you need, not the whole book. Identify your personal weak spots. If you already understand one chapter 100%, stop revising it. Use that time to master the 20% you don't know. Because that 20% is stopping you from scoring full marks. If you're good at writing essays but weak at grammar, spend 80% of your time on grammar. That's what gives you progress. Use active techniques instead of passive. Instead of reading the same notes 5 times, do 1 time active recall, 1 time mind mapping, 1 time teaching it out loud. That's smart learning. Because the goal is not to spend more hours. The goal is to get more results from the hours you already spend. Let's say 2 students are preparing for the same exam. Student A reads the entire textbook line by line every night. He studies for 6 hours, but never asks questions or tests himself. Student B spends 30 minutes identifying the key areas, then spends 1.5 hours doing practice tests, reviewing mistakes, speaking answers aloud, and building a mind map. On exam day, student B scores higher, with less stress, less time, and better memory. Why? Because student B used the 80-20 rule. Studying smart means being a strategic learner, not just a hard worker. Anyone can sit for hours with a book. But real success comes from asking, what matters most? What is the most effective method? Where should I focus my energy? If you want to remember more, stress less, and perform better, stop trying to study everything. Start identifying the vital few things that truly matter. And when you master those, everything changes. Technique 4. Use the power of location, memory palaces. It's called the memory palace technique, and it can help you remember anything. But let's understand why it works. Think about your childhood home. You remember the color of your bedroom walls, the exact place your toys were kept, the smell of your kitchen, the sound of your school bus from your window. Now think about this. Can you remember the definition of a scientific term you read last week? Probably not. Why is that? Because the brain remembers places better than it remembers words. Your brain is visual and spatial. It remembers space, direction, color, and position much more easily than raw information. That's why the world's best memory champions use the memory palace technique to remember. Decks of cards, huge numbers, entire speeches, complex formulas, and now you can use it too. Imagine your home, not in general. Get specific. Picture your front door, your kitchen, your bedroom, your balcony. Each area is clear and familiar. Now imagine you want to memorize 5 points about the causes of World War I, alliance system, nationalism, assassination of Archduke, militarism, imperialism. Instead of writing them 10 times, do this. Imagine alliances as 2 people shaking hands at your front door. Imagine a giant national flag waving inside your living room equals nationalism. Picture a news headline about the Archduke's assassination lying on your kitchen table. Imagine tanks and guns placed on your bedroom floor equals militarism. Imagine a king pointing to a map in your bathroom mirror equals imperialism. Now walk through your house in your mind. As you mentally walk from room to room, each location gives you a trigger, a strong image, that helps you remember each point. That's the power of a memory palace. Why does it work? Because instead of forcing your brain to remember dry facts, you attach them to something familiar, your home. Add a strong visual image, crazy or emotional. Place them in a logical path. This activates both sides of your brain. Logic, the list. Imagination, the palace. When both are activated, your memory becomes much, much stronger. Where can you use this? Anywhere. Studying history dates, learning definitions, remembering parts of a speech, preparing for a presentation, memorizing scientific terms, keeping track of points in an essay. Even if you forget one part, the path of your memory palace will remind you what's next. Use emotion in your images. The crazier or funnier, the better. Use places you know very well. Home, school, your street, a park. Review your memory palace every day for 2 minutes. Build more palaces for different topics. Most students try to stuff facts into their brain using force. But the human brain doesn't work like that. It doesn't want force. It wants stories, places, images, movement. And the memory palace gives you all of that. So if you've ever said, "I just can't memorize," try this technique once. It may become your superpower. Technique 5. Study in the morning. Unlock the brain's golden hours. The time you study matters. And if you study at the wrong time, you forget more. If you study at the right time, you remember more. And science agrees. Why is the morning so powerful? Your brain has its own natural rhythm. This is called your circadian rhythm, a 24-hour cycle that controls your sleep, energy, focus, and even memory. In the morning, especially in the first 2 to 3 hours after you wake up, your brain is at its most powerful state. It is fresh, free from decision fatigue. It is quiet, no mental noise from the day yet. It has high dopamine levels, helps focus. It is more ready for deep concentration. Your willpower is at its highest. This is what we call the golden learning window. Most great thinkers, writers, scientists, and learners throughout history used the early morning for their most important work. Not because it sounds motivational, but because it works. At night, your brain is tired. Your body is slowing down. You've already made hundreds of decisions all day. You are emotionally exhausted. Focus drops. Memory formation weakens. You may still study, but your retention is low. You'll forget more the next morning. That's why students who study late at night often say, "I studied it, but I just couldn't recall it during the exam," because their brain was too tired to store it. Here's the best way to use your mornings for powerful study. 1. Sleep early to wake up fresh. It's not just about waking up early, it's about sleeping on time, so your brain gets proper rest. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m. Even 6 or 7 a.m. is fine, as long as you use your first 2 hours wisely. 2. Avoid distractions for the first hour. Don't touch your phone. Don't check social media. Don't open messages or emails. This first hour of your day is your brain's clean page. Use it for deep learning, not for junk information. 3. Use mornings for your hardest subjects. If you struggle with math, science, or memorizing long answers, do that work first thing in the morning. Your brain can handle more complexity at that time. Save the easier work, like revision or rewriting notes, for later in the day. Let's say you wake up at 7 a.m. Here's a simple memory-boosting morning routine. 7 o'clock to 7:30. Wake up, wash face, drink water. 7:30 to 8:30. Study your most difficult topic with full focus. 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Quick review of what you learned. 9 o'clock onwards. Breakfast and regular day. In just 1 hour, your learning will be stronger than 3 hours of tired, unfocused study at night. It's not just how long you study. It's also when you study. The brain has peak hours. Use them. Study smart, not late. Start your day with learning, and you'll carry that power into the rest of your day and the rest of your life. Technique 6. Take rest to remember more. The forgotten rule of memory. Because the truth is, you don't remember while studying. You remember while resting. Yes, you heard that right. The real process of remembering does not happen when you are reading. It happens after you stop reading. That's when your brain starts its real work, behind the scenes. Let's understand how. When you study, your brain receives information. This is called encoding. You're feeding data into your brain. But that information is still fragile. It's like wet cement. It needs time to settle, organize, and become solid. This process is called consolidation. And it happens during rest, especially during sleep and short breaks. When you rest, your brain replays what you just learned. It removes the useless parts. It connects the new knowledge to old knowledge. It creates patterns and storage pathways. Without rest, the information stays weak and soon disappears. What happens if you don't rest? You keep feeding your brain more and more. But there is no time to process. It's like pouring water into a bottle without a cap. Everything spills out. That's what happens when you study for 5 hours straight with no break. You feel tired, you feel confused, you don't know what you actually remember. Your memory becomes unstable, and soon, you forget. Use the 50 to 10 rule. Study for 50 minutes. Take a 10-minute break. During the break, walk around, stretch, breathe deeply. Don't use your phone too much. Let your brain relax and organize the information you just learned. Repeat this cycle 2 or 3 times and take a longer break after 2 hours. Sleep right after you study. If you study before sleep, your brain will automatically review it during deep sleep. This is why people who revise their notes at night and sleep well remember better the next day. But if you study and then scroll on your phone for 2 hours, your memory gets replaced by useless content. So protect your brain's rest. Don't study for too long without pause. After 90 minutes of deep focus, your brain needs a reset. If you don't give it rest, your focus and memory will start falling, even if you don't notice it. Take small breaks before your brain forces you to. Imagine, you learn 10 new English words, but right after studying, you scroll your phone or jump to another task. Later, you forget most of them. Now try this. After learning, take a 10-minute break. No phone, no noise. That short rest helps your brain store those words better. And if you sleep well after, you'll remember even more. Rest is not wasting time. It's when your brain saves what you studied. In a world that says study more, you must understand. Memory is built in silence. In the pauses, in the sleep, in the quiet. That's when your brain does its real work. So from now on, don't just study hard, rest smart. Because the person who rests well remembers well. Technique 7. Active recall. The secret weapon of memory champions. When you finish reading a chapter, what do you do next? If your answer is, I read it again. I highlight it. I write it down. I move to the next chapter. Then you're making the same mistake millions of students make every day. You are trying to remember by reviewing. But the truth is, the brain doesn't remember what you review. It remembers what you retrieve. This is the power of active recall. It's not just a tip. It's the most powerful memory technique in the world, used by top students, doctors, memory champions, and high achievers everywhere. Active recall means testing yourself, pulling information out of your brain, trying to remember without looking at the book. It's the opposite of passive reading. Instead of putting more information in, you train your brain to pull information out. And that's when real memory is built. For example, you read 10 new English words. Then you close the book and ask yourself, what were those words? You try to remember without looking. You only recall 6. Then you check the other 4 and repeat the process. That's active recall. And it's far more powerful than just reading again. Because the brain remembers what it pulls out, not what it reads in. Don't just review. Test your memory. That's how real learning happens. Because every time you try to remember, your brain strengthens the neural path. It's like exercising your memory muscle. The more you pull out the information, the more your brain says, okay, this is important. Let's store this properly. On the other hand, just reading is like watching someone else exercise. It feels easy, but you don't get stronger. After reading a topic, close the book. Ask yourself, what did I just learn? Can I explain it out loud? Can I write it from memory? Use flashcards. Create simple question-answer cards. For example, Q. What are the causes of World War I? A. Alliances, nationalism, assassination, militarism, imperialism. Go through your flashcards every day. Don't just read the answer. Try to recall it first. Use practice tests. Download previous year's papers. Make your own quizzes. The more you test yourself, the better your brain remembers. Use the blurting method. After studying a topic, take a blank sheet. Write down everything you can remember. Don't look at the book. Then open the book and compare. Add the points you missed. Repeat after a few days. This forces your brain to engage deeply. 2 students are preparing for a medical entrance exam. Student A reads each chapter 4 times and highlights everything. Student B reads once, then starts testing himself using flashcards and quiz apps. He explains topics to a friend. In the test, Student A forgets many things. Student B remembers clearly. Why? Because Student A stored the information, but never practiced retrieving it. Student B trained his brain to recall, and that's why he succeeded. If you only read, you'll forget. If you test yourself, you'll remember. Reading is input, recall is output, and memory is built through output. So from today, stop asking, how many times should I read this? Start asking, how many times can I remember this? Without looking. That's when your real growth begins. Technique 8. Mind mapping. Think like your brain thinks. The human brain is not a book. It doesn't think in straight lines or paragraphs. It doesn't process long blocks of text. Your brain thinks in ideas, images, colors, connections. That's why when you read a book, you get tired. But when you watch a movie, you remember every detail. Your brain loves visual structure. And that's exactly what mind mapping gives you. A mind map is a visual way of organizing information. You start with a main topic in the center. Then you draw branches coming out of it, each one for a subtopic. Then smaller branches for details, examples, or keywords. It's like turning your chapter into a tree of knowledge, clear, colorful, and connected. Let's say you're studying photosynthesis. In a notebook, draw a circle in the middle. Photosynthesis. Now draw 5 main branches. 1. Definition. 2. Process. 3. Inputs. 4. Outputs. 5. Importance. Under process, draw small branches. Light absorption, water uptake, carbon dioxide, glucose formation. Each branch can have arrows, diagrams, or colors. Now you've turned a boring page of text into a clear, connected map, and your brain loves it. It activates multiple parts of your brain at the same time. Visual memory, logical structure, creativity, color association, pattern recognition. This creates stronger mental links. So even if you forget one part, you can travel through the map to reach the answer. It's like storing your memory in a web instead of a box. Even if one part is missing, the rest stays strong. How to create a powerful mind map. Use plain paper, not ruled notebooks. This gives you freedom to move in any direction. Start with one word or topic in the center. Use a circle or a shape to mark it clearly. Use thick branches for main ideas. Then smaller branches for subpoints. Use color. Different colors for different branches. This helps your brain separate ideas clearly. Add small images or symbols. A sun for energy, a book for theory, a clock for history. Anything that adds meaning. Don't write full sentences. Only keywords or phrases, short and powerful. Where to use mind mapping. After finishing a chapter. To revise before exams. To summarize long topics. To plan essays or speeches. To connect multiple subjects. It works in science, history, language, even math. Textbooks were designed for teachers. Mind maps are designed for your brain. If you want to study less and remember more. If you want to revise faster and understand deeper, then make mind mapping your habit. From today, stop copying notes blindly. Start mapping your brain and unlock the memory you never thought you had. Technique 9. Use emotion and imagination. Make boring things unforgettable. Let me tell you something you already know. You always remember what made you feel something. You may forget a chapter you read 5 times, but you remember a movie you saw 5 years ago. You may forget the name of a topic, but you still remember the first time you felt embarrassed in class. The fight with a friend. The moment someone praised you. Why? Because the brain does not store information based on importance. It stores information based on emotion. That means, if something is emotional, it gets saved. If something is boring, it gets deleted. The answer is emotional imagination, one of the most powerful brain tools in human history. It means using your imagination to attach feelings, stories, images, or exaggeration to the thing you want to remember. This technique is used by memory champions to remember names, numbers, facts, long speeches, even entire books. And once you learn how to use it, you'll realize the more you feel something, the less you forget it. Turn facts into stories. Instead of memorizing bullet points, create a mini story. For example, instead of remembering, proton is positive, electron is negative, neutron is neutral. Tell yourself, there were 3 brothers. Proton, always positive and happy. Electron, always negative and moody. Neutron, calm and neutral. They lived inside the atom kingdom. You'll never forget it again. Use visual images. If you're learning vocabulary or formulas, add crazy, colorful images. To remember, oxygen equals O2. Imagine two giant oxygen tanks dancing in the sky with O2 tattoos on them. To remember, E equals mc squared. Imagine Einstein running with a cape that has E equals mc squared, burning in flames behind him. The crazier the image, the better your brain remembers. Use humor or drama. If something is boring, make it funny or dramatic in your mind. To remember that the heart has 4 chambers, imagine a hotel called Heart Inn with 4 golden doors, each leading to a dancing blood cell. Yes, it's silly, but it works because the brain says, "This is strange. I need to remember it." Your brain has something called the amygdala, the emotional memory center. When you feel strong emotion, even imagined emotion, the amygdala sends a signal to your brain. This is important. Save it. That's why you remember embarrassing moments, childhood memories, or beautiful moments with your family, even if they happened long ago. If you give your study material that same emotional power, your brain will never forget it. You don't have a memory problem. You have a meaning problem. Because your brain doesn't forget what you feel. It forgets what you don't care about. So from today, stop memorizing like a robot. Start learning like a storyteller. Feel it, see it, imagine it, and let your memory become unforgettable. Technique 10. Speak what you study. Train your mouth to train your brain. Most students study silently. They read in their mind. They solve problems in their mind. They try to remember answers in their mind. And what happens? When they go to give an exam or speak in class or answer in front of someone, they can't say the answer clearly. They freeze. They struggle. They forget. Why? Because their brain knows the information, but their mouth was never trained to speak it. And this creates a gap between knowledge and communication. That's why this technique is life-changing. If you want to remember what you study, you must start talking while you learn. When you speak out loud, you activate your vocal memory. You slow down your thoughts. You organize the information better. You hear yourself, which creates a second channel of learning. You become more confident and fluent with the topic. It's like double reinforcement. One through the brain, one through the voice. Together, they make your memory solid and reliable. Read everything out loud. When reading a chapter, don't read silently. Move your lips. Use your voice. Be active. Even if you're alone, especially if you're alone, speak as if you're explaining it to someone. Explain the topic to yourself. After finishing a topic, close the book and explain it out loud. Don't worry about perfect words. Just say what you know. Okay, so today I learned about global warming. It happens because of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide. These gases trap heat in the atmosphere. You are now training your brain to recall, organize, and speak all at once. This creates deep memory storage. Use the teach the wall technique. If no one is around, stand in front of a wall or mirror. Pretend it's a classroom. Say, "Good morning, class. Today I'll explain the difference between mitosis and meiosis." This may sound funny, but it works powerfully. Because when you speak with intention, your brain takes the topic seriously. Reading is not enough. Writing is not enough. Speaking completes the circle of learning. So from now on, every time you study something new, ask yourself, have I spoken it out loud at least once? Because when your mouth trains your brain, your knowledge becomes unshakable. Now you know the truth. You don't need a perfect brain. You just need the right strategy. Apply these techniques. Train your brain. and watch how fast you start remembering everything you study, clearly, confidently, and forever. If this video helped you, subscribe now, because we're just getting started.